Three, two, one. Hey, everybody, this is Victor. I am here with Heather, and we are going to be talking about her real estate flipping journey, how Heather went from a real estate beginner to getting her first deal under contract in 6 days or less than a week. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, doing very well. Busy, very busy.
Busy's good. Busy's good. Well, I do appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. I wanted to really capture your real estate journey. We've been working together like a month or 2 months, and it's been fantastic. Like what results you've seen, what progress you've seen, what transformation. So I really wanted to encapsulate that, catch that
Okay.
in the moment. But before we get into it, where are you based out of?
I am based out of Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay.
I moved here 8 months ago,
Mhm.
and from the Chicago area.
Mhm.
Life is different, but I like it, and it's much warmer.
That's good. Yeah. Well, as you know, used to live in Chicago, so I can see why you really enjoyed the move.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, perfect. So, what's your background like before all this? Like, what's your background?
Well, for the last 13 years, I've owned a residential and commercial cleaning company. When the market plunged back in 2008, I took the opportunity to open my own company and do what I love doing. So I did that, and it's been successful ever since. I moved it down here to Jacksonville just 8 months ago, and we're just buzzing right along. So it's going well. And before that, I had been in real estate. I was a realtor. I did not enjoy being a realtor, so I moved on from that. It wasn't the avenue that I wanted to be in. I wanted to be in the flipping process. I didn't realize that I was not going to be necessarily getting that opportunity in the beginning. So it just wasn't I wasn't ready at the time for that. So, and prior to that, I was in banking, mortgages, second mortgages, et cetera. So,
Okay. So, you were in the cleaning business. You've had a lot of other careers and other jobs as well. Like how before we met, like how long were you wanting to get into flipping houses?
I wanted to get into flipping starting about 5 years ago, where I was actively pursuing it, joining websites, things like Bigger Pockets I had told you about, where I just, would constantly stay apprised of what was going on, try to learn as much as I could, read as much as I could. But one thing I always heard was that you need a mentor. And so I looked diligently for a mentor. And then this last year, I stumbled on you, or you stumbled on, I don't, I liked
Something happened.
something happened, and because I was on that BRR site, and then you asked, well, what's your background, and we went from there. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, perfect. Yeah, I know we connected. I think it was on Facebook. I can't remember which group, but we connected, and it just made sense, and we connected and we moved forward. When we met, or what were some of the things you struggled with before with regards to getting started in flipping?
Uh, there was a tremendous fear of the unknown, knowing what to do, how to do it. I went to seminars that turned out not to be anything at all, but the seminars from, I went to one from one of the TV flippers that
Mhm.
not to be there. And those were the kind of things I was doing. I did it once there, and I signed up for several different websites, and I just didn't feel that I was getting the hands-on information that I needed.
Mhm.
So when I started watching your case studies after we met on Facebook, I realized that you were going to offer that. And so um, that's when I finally made the decision to dive in and actually make the effort, because as I had told you, for the last 30 years I've been flipping properties for other people,
Mhm.
whether it be updating them, rehabbing them. um, I'd have someone come to me crying because they can't sell their property because renters destroyed it, and I, don't worry honey, I'll help you. And so I would do those things for them. But it's time to do it for me.
Mhm. Well, that's what I really liked when we met. Like you've already been doing it. Like you were already doing. You were telling me about like all these turns you did for property managers and all that stuff. Like the place was trash, and you went in there, you painted, you cleaned it up, and that's why I wanted to work with you so much. Where it's like you're already doing it. Let's just do it for yourself, and 10x your income.
Yeah. And there's the bottom line. As much as I love helping people, I sure would like to 10x my income.
That's a good way to look at it. Okay, so that's where you were. What's really interesting about your journey, I think you're the quickest student. Like we signed you up and almost immediately you had a deal and you had a deal under contract, which is fantastic. That's never happened before. Like we've gotten people get deals quick, within a month, within a couple weeks, but you were, I think, at the record at 6 days. So I was even taken aback. Like I was impressed too, like in a good way. I was like, whoa, okay, awesome. Let's take this one down. So I'd love to hear the story of the deal, like what happened with it. And then after we can talk about lessons and all that stuff. But like what happened with the deal?
I followed the steps in the course exactly as you said. I did my first cold call and offered 50% on the property and got very uncomfortable and then decided it couldn't get much worse than that. So then I started doing the Craigslist and Zillow for sale by owners and stumbled across this property that was with a wholesaler. And I had seen 3 of his properties that had no floors and no roofs. So I said, well, yeah, I'm really not interested in these. And so he said, well, I have something in Jacksonville. I said, oh, thank you. That's really where I would like to be. And we went and saw it, and I was thrilled because the property had good bones. And it was a small property, just over 1,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. But it had so much potential, original hardwoods. Was missing HVAC. Apparently that was stolen. But the bottom line was it was going to be a good deal. It was going to be a great flip. And I was as surprised as you that I had come across it that fast. And so we got into it and I got the inspections done and I set up all the contractors. And then we got to the financing and that's where I lost the deal the day of the closing. So that had to do with my personal situation. And so that's where I started to really learn some things.
Mm-hmm. I think that's good. I think we both learned something just throughout that entire process because it was a good deal. And just going through that process with regards to financing, I think we both learned something that's going to set you up really well for your next one. And we can kind of talk about the deal you're kind of looking at, because I know you have other deals you're looking at. But so what are some of the lessons learned? I know people, when they get their first deal, like they always want to go through and for it to be a home run. And that's great. That doesn't always happen. So it's always good to get like key lessons, takeaways, so you can improve the next time. So what are some of the lessons that you learned just going through that first deal, that first transaction?
There were several very valuable lessons. One of the first ones that I've said to you on several occasions now was always get a signature if you're going to extend your closing. Mm-hmm. Get a signed document if you need to extend your closing. It doesn't matter if it's for 24 hours or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I learned that. I also learned to have a partner or your financing in place, if possible, at least having reached out to lenders, hard money lenders, private money lenders, have them in place or some backups before you get to the part where you need to go to closing. So now my process, I would not look for properties unless I knew I had financing behind me anymore. That's how I am. Mm-hmm. And so now I do have a money partner, and that is all thanks to you. You introduced me to an associate of yours who is a private money lender. And he's very enthusiastic and, very supportive and really positive and upbeat. So I'm looking forward to the fact that all I have to do is find the properties and flip the properties, and he finances them. And the other lessons were smaller, very valuable, but smaller. So important to get a good inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Good inspection, you can be so surprised. I'm not familiar with crawl spaces because in Illinois we have basements or we have slabs. There are no crawl spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So I needed an inspection of the crawl space. I mean, that's the grossest place I could think of. I didn't think anybody really did that, but I immediately found somebody who does that. And here in North Carolina, it's the termite inspector. He goes in and inspects the property from underneath and then from up above and the sides. So, your pest control guy is your friend here in Illinois, in North Carolina. So that was a very important lesson. There were so many.
Just a couple is fine. I don't, you don't need to say all of them if you don't want to. But it sounds like you were learning a lot of lessons. What I also liked from your deal is you had some contractors go there. Oh, let's talk about the contractor. Yeah, let's talk about the contractor. What happened there, and then we can kind of segue to your next deal, like the future and all that stuff. But let's talk. What happened with the contractor?
I completely forgot about them. I didn't know how to find a contractor here in North Carolina because I don't really have a lot of contacts yet. So I just put it out on Facebook Marketplace. I belong to like 42 groups, buy, sell, trade, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it out there looking for reputable contractors to do fix and flips. And I got back several, and I met with all of them. And one of them was just Johnny on the spot. It was great. And then to get him to get back to me took 5-6 days to answer a question. And so I realized that that probably wouldn't work well in a communication with a flip. And then I had 2 of them show up at the same time. And the best one was the one who wanted all his money up front. And he was a great talker, and he was ready to convince me he was going to do the job until the other contractor pulled up and said, "Don't do business with him. Google him." And I Googled him, and there was this page of news stories about 5 arrests that had been made for him because he had taken people's money and not finished the jobs. And then I found out he was still wearing an ankle monitor when I was interviewing him.
I didn't know that part. That's funny.
So valuable lessons there. I still think finding good contractors who are going to, do good work and be timely will be a challenge. But I'm just gonna, plow through it. That's what we do.
Well, I didn't know that ankle monitor thing. That was new to me. I knew you went through, like, the contractor thing was, typically it's a little smoother, but I didn't know you had quite the experience there. I've never experienced that, honestly, so there. So that was that deal, and I think what's good is, like, you've been learning a lot. You've been learning from the fire hose, so to speak, like drinking from the fire hose, so it's been a lot at once. I think we've only been working together like less than 2 months, so it's been really good.
About 8 weeks, yeah.
Is that right? Okay, awesome. And so you're learning. You have these learning lessons, but you're still in the game, which is the biggest thing. Like you learned. You're ahead of where you are. You've made more progress in 2 months than you did in 5 years.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. But I know you're like still in the game. You're looking at another deal, so I'd love to hear at least the basics of this other deal. Whatever details you're comfortable sharing. Like if you want to get into numbers, cool. If you don't, but just so you can share that you are still in the game, like you are still on the hunt for a deal.
It took me a minute to recover from losing that deal. But that's a lesson I learned was my heart was really involved in that. And that can't be in this business. It just can't be. You, these are pieces of property. You can't, get emotionally invested in them at all. So I did get back on track and start doing my cold calling and making appointments. And right before Christmas, I found this property on Craigslist. It was through a wholesaler, and he got back to me just a couple of days ago. He was out of town since then, and finally I got to go see this property. I call it the Barrel House.
Nice.
55-gallon blue barrels out in front of it that are full of dirt. There are about 40 of them. So I finally got to see the property, and the bones are great. The biggest part of this flip will be the cleanup.
Mm.
It's a disastrous mess, but the bones are great. I believe the price is good for me. I think we're going to be able to come to terms on that. Just rough numbers. The ARV would be 130 to 134.
Okay.
And then my repairs are approximately 22. I still need to do a better breakdown on that. My MAO came in at 69.
Okay.
So we're at the 70% mark. It's the repairs. And I think, and we'll net about 30,000, I suppose. If there are no surprises, which, I anticipate surprises all the time now. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Putting the offer in when I get off of this case study, I will be putting the offer in and see what they come back to me with. Trying to build a relationship with that wholesaler, so I want to make sure that it's a smooth offer. I also still have an appointment on Monday to go see another home that I was able, through cold calling, to get in touch with the owner. And he's interested in selling, not highly motivated, but interested. So we'll see how that goes. So I just keep looking forward. I'm stuck on this deal. I just want to keep moving forward. But I know so much more now. So I'm a lot more confident. I mean, Victor can tell, I'm sure, by the fact that I'm not texting him every 10 minutes all day long. Which I was doing a lot.
What's good, you're really engaged as a student, which is awesome. But I've seen you become more self-sufficient, and that's where I want to get you. So if you need to ask me a question anytime anything pops up, like, hey, how do I do this? And that's not a good teacher. Like a good teacher, you're self-sufficient. You know how to do it. Like if you went to learn how to ride a bike, my goal is for you to ride the bike on your own. You can do tricks. You can do your own thing. You don't need me around.
Right.
But if you needed to, yell at me every 5 seconds on the bike, help, what do I do? Then
it goes back to the old verse from the Bible. If you give a man a fish, he can feed himself. But if you teach him a fish, he can feed his family.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I try to impart. And you're doing really good. And you're learning. Oftentimes when you send me numbers, I just trust it. Like you're spot on with your ARV, spot on with your repairs, spot on with your numbers. I'm like, okay, I know Heather knows what she's doing. I double check it. Don't get me wrong, but like there's a lot of confidence there, which is awesome.
And that helps me when, you've been telling me that and encouraging me through the messages saying, wow, your numbers are so close to my numbers. It helps me also to gain confidence, to understand that I am understanding what I'm learning. So.
Perfect. That's a good segue. So that's your story there. With that in mind, would you recommend others to work with me?
Yes, definitely. I've told you that before. Your information is very valuable, and the fact that you give students your undivided attention when they're talking about their situation, you're paying attention to that, and you're helping them. Me that way, and I would imagine you do that with everybody else. So yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then why should someone listening take action now?
Mm, why not? I let fear stop me for many, many years. I just thought I couldn't do this. I couldn't, I'll never be able to afford that. On all my goals for year after year after year was put enough money away to do a flip
Mhm.
in a property. And that didn't happen. So um, just do
Just do it. I like
just
that.
do it. It's not going to happen if you keep thinking about it and dreaming about it. It only happens if you take action.
Mhm. I really like that. I really like that. Well, again, I do appreciate you taking the time. I think you have a great story, so that's why I wanted to share with everyone, share it to everyone, who's going to watch this call. As we wrap up here, like any final thoughts, any final lessons, anything else you wanted to put out there?
Um, one thing that I learned for myself was there can be stressful times doing, and I had to learn to take a step back, take a breather, even if it was, 24 hours or whatever, take a breather and let all of it go. I watched some mindless TV, I meditated, whatever. And then your mind clears and the stress level reduces. And I felt much better after that. So that I would recommend that, if you're feeling that stressed about the situation, then definitely take a little time out. And kind of like Victor says in the course, sometimes you got to take a vacation.
Pretty much, yeah. I think that's a good piece of advice. They always say the first deal is the hardest, and it's not just the hardest like to pull it off because it's tricky, it's difficult. You got to get these pieces lined up, but it's also like emotionally difficult because it's something brand new.
Yes.
So that's a part of it too. So that's why I recommend like you got to got to take it easy, lower importance, all that stuff. Take some time
Yeah.
off because it is a lot. So I think I'm glad you brought that up again.
Okay. Well, and as far as anything else goes, just do it.
Mhm.
Just just do it. The feeling alone that I have, the confidence level that I've built in doing this and understanding so much more than I did 8 weeks ago, um, is so worth it.
Mhm.
So worth it. So just do it.
Just do it. There we go. Perfect. Well, sounds good. Thanks so much again. Appreciate you joining, Heather. Thanks so much for sharing your story. Thanks everyone for joining as well. And we'll talk soon. We'll get you, if you're open to it, we'd love to do another one in maybe 3 months, 6 months when you have that first deal, when you have that check, you can be holding it up.
That'd be great. I'd love to do that. Yes. Thank you, Victor. Thank you.